is a quick look at the main section, we're going to call it. It's going to house the reverse and the differential assembly. It's a rather lightweight fabrication. It picks up the axles and feet areas and stuff like that. We'll get to that in a moment. We'll show you how to put that. We're going to show you how to put that in. So we're going to take a look at get back to the bike. All right, so we're going to kind of put our differential inside the belt area. Dave, would you hand me that assembly? I'm going to place the assembly about an inch into the swing arm assembly, which is going to give us plenty of room back in this area. Of course, we want our clamps that we had before. They're marked left and right, so you want to make sure you put the proper one in the right area. So we're going to lift the differential up into the bearing houses. It's kind of a rough deal. Let's pull it together all at the same time. Take the unit forward. There we go. Slip it up in there, all the way forward. And get a clamp in there. Get the clamps in. Get the L facing so you can read it. Okay, so it's kind of probably one of the more difficult things to do is to get those bolts going. And once you got one in, you're pretty secure. You can concentrate on the others. Try to give you as much real time here as possible. In that socket while you're doing it. All using stock clamps and stock hardware. While we're at it, we're going to install the belt adjusting screws. Take a peek over here. They go into those drill and tapped holes that you might have wondered what they were for. And that's going to push back against the casting and give us our belt adjustment and tension. Now that we've got a differential in place, we're going to take a look at our adjustment. There's a lot of places to look as far as numbers go. You want to tighten that up a little bit more. You want to have about half inch of play on the bottom of the belt. That feels pretty good. How do you look now, Dave?
15 and an eighth.
Pardon me?
15 and an eighth.
15 and 3/8. Let's move in, say, an eighth of an inch, Dave. It's pretty. How's your belt feel? More. Good. Okay. Now what have you got for number?
Center of the pocket.
Center of pocket to center of shaft. I'm 15 1/4.
That's what I'm at.
Beautiful. I like that. Let's double check it. Take a look at this number here. 1 3/8. 1 3/8. Good. All right, so we're equal. That's going to keep us square in the chassis. Hold our transmission up. We're going to bring this up into position, put this on the center plate. Okay. And it's pretty close to the frame. Maybe a 1/4 inch out, 3/16, something like that. Check how we look going down the areas behind the battery compartment. We're centered in on the pulley. We're going to leave that jacket place for now. We're going to move on to putting on the top mount assembly. Okay, so we're going to put our top mount assembly in, which consists of this crossbar, which ties in with the bearing assembly. I'm going to set that on top of this like that. So it's going to take the top mount bracket, bolt, spacer, and we're going to go through. Before we get started with that, we're going to bring to mention that I'm going to put this little thin washer behind it. Put a screw in there, kind of balance the washer on it. Bring the top mount up in this place, and engage the 3/8/16 threaded hole. Now that washer spaces the top mount, which is where the bearing sticks out of the bracket. It gives it the proper spacing. And then put in our top mount that goes to the assembly. Okay. Everything in together nice and loosely. Got your side there, Dave?
Yes.
How do your brackets line up with the holes? Down, up. What do you need there? Need to
go up.
Up just a bit. All right.
Touch.
Okay. Alrighty.
Good.
Looks pretty good. Before we go any further, we're going to go back and tighten up our fasteners on the swinging arm. Make sure that doesn't go anywhere. So before we move on to this next phase, we're going to take a look real quick at what we've really done. We put our unit up to there. We put our differential in place. We've adjusted square, and got our belt tension the way we like it. Locked down our adjusting screws, and we put in our fasteners to hold that in place. So now that's pretty much adjusted for, not pretty much, it is adjusted for belt tension and square to the chassis. We're going to finish the top mount assembly by installing the top control arm pivot point with the use of 4 5/16 18 by 1.5 inch bolts, and that's going to close up our top mount assembly. That completes our top mount assembly. We're ready to move on. Take a moment and tighten up our top mount for the last time, and that 9/16 socket. An extension, please. Nice things. Socket. That does it. Works in tandem with the swinging arm, giving us the side-to-side rigidity that we need, but still allowing the unit to move very, very slightly, which is a system that combats vibration. We're always looking to eliminate that vibration when you're dealing with these particular twins. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our reverse in, starting with our bracket, and we're going to use the stock hardware. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to move on. We're going to put our reverse bracket in, lock it on the dowel pins that are already installed in the area. Okay. Goes in with the stock hardware. It's a 5/8 socket to do that. going to put our reverse motor. We're going to take the nut off of the bottom bolt that has our electrical wires on it. Let's see, how does this go? Does this kind of wraps around like that? The wiring out of the way. Want to make sure that your brake line is down at the bottom. Put it in the way. There we go. I'm going to put the bottom bolt in first, which has got our ground wires on it. Together very nicely with a long extension and a 5/8 socket. We're going to move on to replace the support bar, the stock support bar, the tubing type, with a flat bar. We'll replace this bracket, support bracket. Make sure that your brake line is below the bracket. Stock bolt on the top. 3/8/16 with a flat washer on the bottom. Put it behind where it properly belongs, and tighten that up. Okay, we're gonna take a quick overview of what's happened here. We've got our swing arm in place, we've got our unit adjusted, we've got our reverse motor in place, we've got our support bars going on, everything's tightened up, we've got our brake line below the bracket so that we can get comfortably where we need to be later on when we get to that particular stage of the thing, after we get our suspension in place. Keep in mind you want to keep all this stuff neat and tidy and out of the way. Before we move on to put the rest of our suspension components on, let's start the bike up and check the reverse and make sure that it's working properly.